Hey friends, Patrick here and welcome to yet another .NET tutorial, and it really took me way too long to figure out how to publish a tweet with the Twitter API. So this is what you're going to cover in this tutorial. In essence, really easy, but well, you have to understand some steps and then everything works just fine. And before we start, if you learned something and like this tutorial, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button, maybe even subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much to my four patrons now. Guys, it means the world to me. I love you for supporting my work. And if you want to support me too, just scroll down to the video description and then there's your chance. So thank you very much. And now let's start with the Twitter API. First things first, you have to register a new application in the developer portal of Twitter. So I think you have to register an account there. Not sure because it's a long time ago I did this. And then as you can see here, there's the Twitter API version 2. And for that you have to create a project or an app. And as you can see in the free plan here, you get one app. All right, and I already created one. As you can see here, Twitter API test PG. I know it's a great name. And here I can do whatever I want to do with that. Well, that's not totally correct, because when we go to the plans here, you see in the free plan, we can manage tweets, meaning we can use the URL to post a tweet or the URI, and also delete tweets. And regarding the users, we can get me, for instance, right? And there's a rate limit, of course, and other stuff. But I think for just testing this and building your own Twitter API app, scheduler, whatever you want to build, it's totally sufficient to do that, because as you can see here in the Pro plan, for instance, it's just $5,000 a month, right? So really cheap. But there's also the basic plan, and in this plan, $100 a month. So maybe you're serious about this, then you might want to start with that. And then here you see that you can also read tweets. Isn't that nice? So funny, I think, that in the free plan you can post tweets by this is everything I want to do. And now here, when you create an application, you give it a name, icon. When you go to edit, you see also a little description. And I think you can also here somewhere you can give it a URL and so on, other stuff, homepage. But the important thing here, you go to edit and then app permissions. Not only read, you need read and write permissions. I think direct messages is not really necessary, but read and write, this is important. Oh, and here it is. You can then set that it's a web application, a website URL, and so on. And this is actually only necessary when you want to use the OAuth authentication stuff within your web application, all right? But in this tutorial here, in this example, I just want to build a web API and use it with Swagger for now. Later, I want to build some bigger stuff with that, meaning a Twitter or a scheduler actually with also Hangfire, and then also a user interface with Blazor, of course. So yeah, I think there's more to come. It took me way too long really to just get how this stuff works. But anyways, here's now the tutorial. And by the way, again, similar to the last tutorial, if you hear funny noises, that's my baby girl currently in the baby sling on my lap. So if you're wondering, yeah, that's her. Okay, so you've got your app, and then the important part, keys and tokens. And of course I can trust you guys, right? Because I'm now showing you my tokens. So API key and secret, this is what you need. First thing, we can go to regenerate if you already did this, because you only get this chance here to read it, all right? So now you have to copy this. You say, yes, I saved it. And then here, access token and secret. These are the four you need. So API key and secret, also known previously with the Twitter API version 1, that was the consumer key and the consumer secret. And then you also have now the access token and the token secret, which is that stuff here. All right. So again, generate an API key and the secret. You will need these two, and then also an access token and a secret. But we will do this together in a sec. So this is what you actually need. And this again, other stuff for using OAuth within the web API. You know, when you want to create an account, for instance, and then you say, no, I want to use a third-party authentication provider, account provider, you know what I mean, I think. And then you can choose Twitter, Google, whatever it is, and that's why you need the other stuff here. All right, but these 4 are very important. And when you have them, then you can use Tweetinvi. But I want to give you a short history how I got to the new solution here, because Tweetinvi, I don't know if this is the correct pronunciation. Anyways, with the Twitter API version 1.1, we had simple methods to post tweets here, publish tweet async, right? But this does not work with version 2. And when you now go to tweets version 2, then you see get tweets and hide replies. And that's it. No publishing. So I had to dive a bit deeper, and then I found this issue here. Version 2 post tweet. See it here, 2021, it's a long time ago, not working. And this guy, this great guy, X4Ever, or also called Seth Hendrick, you can also follow him on Twitter or X, go to his homepage, follow him here on GitHub, do whatever you want. And he now found a workaround, or in 2022 already found a workaround to also publish a tweet. And now I want to spread the word here and use that. Okay, so this is what I want to do in this tutorial. Long story short, I created a web API project. That's it. That's the default stuff, really. When we run this, we see our typical weather forecast. We can try this out and get all these random weather forecasts. But now we want to create our Twitter scheduler, or first just the Twitter publisher, poster, whatever the proper name is. And the first thing we now have to do is actually install still Tweetinvi, right? Because we just want to build our workaround. Fun fact, real quick, I'm using .NET 8 here already because, well, we can, right? So why not? Right click, manage NuGet packages, and then tweet, there it is already, Tweetinvi API, almost 3 million downloads. So sad they stopped developing it, but when you watch this tutorial, you will know how to publish your tweets. All right, it's installed, and the next step now would be actually a model, right? We need a model, a DTO. Well, we don't really need it, but let's use some better practices, right? I will use a fat controller in this tutorial here, but I will make sure in the future that I will also use a service, and of course, scroll down to the video description to get the code. So here now, not in the controllers folder, add a new folder, model. So here the model, and this will be a DTO called PostTweet request DTO. All right, and this gets only one property, and this is a string text. All right, string empty, and we have to set a JSON property here from Newtonsoft JSON, and we say this is texts. All right, so this is the first thing we did. Again, Seth Hendrick did all that, and I'm just using the code here. Next step, controller. Add a new controller, and this is an API controller. Again, I want to make this, or I'm using here a web API here. Let me just call this tweets controller. And in here now, only one method. All right, so public async task, returning an iAction result. And let me call this post tweet, and this thing now gets our post tweet request in DTO, new tweet. I think I can close the solution explorer so we see everything. And now comes already the Twitter client, and this is from Tweetinvi. And by the way, I also researched way too long for that authentication stuff. All right, because again, we've got the consumer key can see here, consumer key, consumer secret, and where's the one we're using? Yeah, consumer key, consumer secret, access token, and access secret. And by the way, just to maybe explain it a bit further, when you are searching or reading the documentation from the Twitter API, then you can see here that there's also this Postman collection. Postman, in essence, just a REST client, so a client where you can use or make REST calls to any web service or any API. And here, as you can see, this is the Twitter API version 2, right? And here now, you can also test this. And as you can see under authorization, we see that OAuth, let's try, no, I can't. OAuth 1 actually is used. OAuth 1.0a is the one that you need to post tweets. And here it says request headers. So we're actually, what we need is we want to add an OAuth request header to our HTTP request, all right? There's a signature method used to sign the request, and that's HMAC SHA-1. And again, you see here the consumer key, secret, access token, and token secret. So you just enter that stuff that you found. Where is it? Here, right? That stuff. And then you see the body, also for this example, just a text. And that's pretty much it. Important here in the settings that you set this to application JSON. So you can pretty much just copy all these all this configuration here to your client Postman or your desktop Postman, whatever you're using, or your other REST client again, and this will work. All right, this already works. But then my next step was to not use Tweetinvi because there was this publish tweet method missing, right, for version 2. So I was searching for some OAuth solutions, but I don't know, they've been very complicated. So I ditched this idea, and then I found this beautiful workaround. Just to tell you a little bit about the background here. This is the weather forecast again, but now let's move on with that stuff. So again, we need the keys, right? So here, let's just regenerate that stuff again. Yes, regenerate. Copy this. This is our API key, or also consumer key. Then the consumer secret. Yep. Love the squiggly lines here, right? And then again, yep, I saved them. Of course I did. So regenerate this stuff here. So we also get the access token. All right. And here now, the secrets. Of course, you shouldn't paste that into the code, right? You should use at least environment variables, for instance. Or if you publish this to Azure, then the Azure Key Vault, whatever you want to use, it's definitely better than putting it into the code. All right, now already we can actually get a result from publishing a tweet. And what we're using here is a method, again, from Tweetinvi, execute, and then advance request async. And this thing, what does it do? It executes a custom request, but it needs a delegate. You see it here, the action, right? When we click here, public delegate void action, this is what this thing wants, and we don't have it yet. So let's write something else. But if this is done, then we will return, okay, results. But from that result, then the content. Otherwise, we might get some errors. All right. So this is that function. And now let's write our action. So private static action, it is I Twitter request. And here now we just call this build Twitter request. All right. And this thing gets our post tweet request DTO. All right, I had to take a break here because now my toddler son woke up. So yeah, making or creating tutorials with two small children is kind of hard. Anyways, post tweet request DTO, and this will be our new tweet. And another argument we need here is our Twitter client. So that's the client. And now regarding the body, we just return the Twitter requests, call it requests, and maybe we should add our reference using Tweetinvi models. And here now we say first we need a JSON body from the new tweet. So here we can say client, then JSON, and then serialize. And here, not request, that'll be our new tweet. All right. And the next thing now is we have to set the content. So var content is new string content with our just created JSON body. Then here, not yet the media type, we set the encoding. So encoding is UTF-8, and now the media type would be application JSON. All right. So this now is our content, and here it's actually encoding, and we have to add another reference, system text it is. And now we set the Twitter request. So the request query actually is what we want to set. And the first thing is the URL. And here the URL is https://API twitter.com, now 2 for version 2, and tweets. All right, so far the URL. Now the HTTP request method. So request query HTTP method, and that would be Tweetinvi almost models HTTP method, but not put. It'll be post. Okay. And the last one, request query HTTP content is now content. All right, add a semicolon, save everything, and that should be it. So again, the only thing we have here, and I know it's a fat controller, we can definitely make this better. We have our tweets controller with this method, PostTweet. We create a new client, and now here we call the advanced request async method to execute a custom request. And here now we use our build Twitter request method. So in here we say build Twitter request with the new tweet, which comes from this argument here, right? From the endpoint in essence, our endpoint now. And we also set the client with the proper credentials here. And one parenthesis is missing, and that should be it. And in the end, we return the results. And regarding the build Twitter request delegate, in essence, here we say Twitter request. First, we set the JSON body, or we serialize the new tweet, create the content with the JSON body encoding and the media type. And then regarding the actual query of the request, we set the URL, the HTTP request method is post, and then also the HTTP content. All right, and one last thing we need for Swagger is the request method here on top, HTTP post, and now we can try that. There we are already. We see post tweets. Try this out, and here we can just set the text. For instance, playing around with the Twitter API and .net for my next YouTube video. Awesome. We hit execute, and we see this is the result. We've got the ID and the text again. This is pretty awesome. I think we can copy the ID, of course, or we just refresh my Twitter page, and there it is, playing around with the Twitter API and .NET for my next YouTube video. Isn't that nice? And here we see the same ID. Let me just paste this here again. And that's it. So this is the very simple part of posting tweets with your own .NET Web API, for instance, or any other .NET application. But the next step for me really is to also add a scheduler. And for that, I want to add Hangfire. And if you also want to know how to do that, please stay tuned. Check out the video you will see here on the screen as soon as I am recording this. And to be the first to know, please, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. It does mean the world to me and definitely makes a difference. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you next time. Take care.